BYD has launched its new electric hatchback, the BYD Seagull. The car had its public debut at the 2023 Auto Shanghai last week, and the BYD Seagull is a 5-door, 4-seater car built on E-Platform 3.0 from BYD. The wheelbase is 2.5 meters, so it isn't as small as it looks. It's something similar to a Mazda 2, so really popular size. And I support that sort of size anyway. It supports NFC and Bluetooth keys, so you can use your phone to get into the car, or using the app too. So it's a proper small, basic BYD car with some very modern, up-to-date features to access it. So it's right up my street. I love that sort of thing. Welcome to the channel, everyone. Great to see you all here again. If you're new here, remember to subscribe for my daily videos so you can stay up to date on the latest news about electric vehicles. I'd like to say thank you very much to Alice Nichols, who has joined on Patreon, and Bronwyn Baker, who joined as a member on YouTube. I'm incredibly touched that you decided to support the channel, or anybody else who thought about even buying me a coffee. And I'm not someone who has hundreds or thousands of supporters at all, so it really helps me get by, so I can make these videos every day because it takes a long time. And I'm hoping to make enough money from YouTube so that I can just make these videos for my job every day. And I must say that I'm very, very touched by the generosity, because it takes a lot of time to research and make these videos so that I can deliver the truth that maybe the mainstream media are not giving people. Anybody that joins on Patreon or YouTube memberships, or anybody even that buys me a coffee, is able to just say hi and get in touch with me and ask any questions, or just have a little chat. So that said, the BYD Seagull has 3 trim levels, and the budget EV has a proper range of about 190 miles. It starts at $10,700 US, which is $720 US less than the announced price. So when it arrived at the Shanghai Auto Show, it was a bit cheaper. So $10,000 or so is pretty cheap, I think, for a small electric car with a proper range. BYD began taking orders for the Seagull, and it received 10,000 orders in its first 24 hours after pre-sale started, which is pretty awesome. I love that. However, as it is challenging to stay in the headlines, this is quite funny, in the over-competitive Chinese EV market, BYD has launched it for the second time, which is a brilliant strategy, I think. So to keep up with the competition, really. So maybe this means we'll see cars being launched like 5 or 10 times. Interestingly, the car was launched without the sodium-ion option, and BYD didn't mention it at the event. However, according to sources, the Seagull will get a sodium-ion option as the first BYD car to have that option in the second half of the year. Inside the entry-level EV, you find a minimalistic design with several physical buttons, a 7-inch instrument panel in front of you, and a rotatable 11.1-inch infotainment screen. The configuration with a 75 kilowatt motor revealed by MIIT homologation filings wasn't officially announced, and the Seagull will compete with GM's joint venture with SAIC, budget EV Wuling Bingo, which offers a 50 kilowatt motor and 333 CLTC miles of range, which I think realistically is more like 240 miles range. And that car, you can go and buy that for $8,700 US. In BYD's lineup, it is positioned under the BYD Dolphin hatchback, also from the Ocean series, which starts at $16,700 US. So the Seagull is currently the cheapest model from BYD, and BYD managed to sell 207,080 NEVs, and that's kind of what they call new electric or new energy vehicles, but to us it's just electric cars. They've managed to sell 207,000 electric cars in March. With the introduction of the Seagull's lower priced model, BYD anticipates fulfilling the demands of younger consumers because it's a small and cheap car. But to be honest, I would consider getting one if it drives really well, because I think it looks great and it's a nice little size. I love small cars, and I think they're much more practical, not just because they tend to be cheaper, but they are smaller. They need smaller parking spaces, and often when people nip to the shop for milk and bread, I think it's better for everyone if we can aim to get as close to riding a bike or walking as we can. Obviously, that's if it's too hot outside, you might not want to ride a bike, obviously, so I understand that, of course. But I genuinely think that people should try to ride or walk if they can, or get as close to that, Last April, BYD ended production of internal combustion engine cars, and in 2022, they sold 1.86 million EVs. BYD's CEO stated during an investor conference last month that the company will sell at least 3 million vehicles this year and will strive to achieve 3.6 million. That's a fair few more than Tesla. To give some perspective, although in the past few years Tesla have managed to make their cars quite reliable, which was their main problem prior to 2019. So some people are driving their Tesla cars for 100,000 miles now and having little to no issues the whole way through, which hasn't always been the typical story prior to 2019 or so, roughly. So I hope this video has been interesting. Please give it a like if it was, and any questions or input, just write it in the comments below. This channel is a bit like a community because people often write comments and then other people then comment on that comment. And I learn a huge amount from people chipping in. Remember to subscribe if you are keen to stay up to date on the latest electric vehicle news from around the world.